Well, hi everybody. Susan Fleischman here with ZTV in our continuing series on highlighting the amazing nonprofits here in Alexandria for Spring to Action 2021. And right now I'm joined by Jennifer Pease of the Grace Episcopal Church Food Pantry. Hi Jennifer, welcome.
Hi, Susan. Thanks for having me.
Sure thing. Thank you so much for joining us and for letting the viewers know a little bit more about the good work that your nonprofit does. Can you kind of describe, what you guys are doing over there?
Yeah, I'll give you a little quick background. I'll give you the short story because it is a long story. But the short story is that our food pantry has been around for several years, and we have been serving the local Chirilagua community during that time. It has been, when we started and recently before COVID, we were getting about 30 to 45 families a week. And just starting in March, we started to really expand our operation because of the quantity of clients that were starting to come. And now, pretty quickly, it rose to over 300 families a week.
Wow.
So we really had to adjust our operations. What we provide today is food as well as other essential items like diapers, things that are expensive, shampoo, personal items. We also not only serve the community that comes to our doors, but we've expanded our services to tenants and workers, which is a local organization, and we give bags to them for distribution out off Route 1 to that community, as well as to Father Pedro, who is somebody that comes and picks up bags for members of his community that spans across Northern Virginia.
Mm.
So we're really, really pleased to be able to provide this service, and it's been an incredible journey for everybody who's involved. So
Yeah, yeah, it's good work. It's so needed, and which takes me to my next question, which is, what challenges? It seems obvious, but what challenges did your nonprofit face in 2020?
Well, obviously funding, right? We had a very generous fund before we started. And then obviously, as the needs grew and the services that we were rendering, we wanted to maintain, funding is a big issue. And our parish has always been basically the sole supporter of the food fund and it continues donations. But unfortunately, that was not enough. Also, we get food donations from individuals and organizations, and that was really great. But that really didn't arrive in time for Q when we needed it going into the last quarter. And so at that time, we put in the grant for the Alexandria grant and were awarded a wonderful grant. And in the meantime, we had several organizations, several local churches that stepped in to do large donation drives. I want to do a shout out to Latter-day Saints in Alexandria, St. Rita's, who was an early partner who called us on Good Friday, believe it or not, an anniversary. I just happened to be in the office and picked up the phone. They said, "How can we help?" During the pandemic, we closed down the church, and I was coming over just to try to work remotely, and it turned into being the only person in the church other than our sexton and somebody from the school for several months. But during that time, I partnered with Judy Willard, who has been running the food pantry and is a phenomenal partner, to see how we could expand it, and basically turned into kind of our own little nonprofit organization and leadership. We set up an online volunteering site. We now have over 150 volunteers from across the community, not just within the church.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's been incredible. And we have some wonderful local partners, Kiskadee and Delray. There's a picture of Delray, the Delray Association that did 1,000 can food drive early for us,
Hmm.
and that's really incredible. We have St. Elmo's in Delray
Hmm.
allows me to put up donation boxes that I can. It's kind of like Christmas. I go in there, get my coffee every day. I'm like, "Ooh, look at this is so cool." Um, and and of course,
Everybody in
the
Delray is
scouts and everybody. I mean,
yeah.
it's
There's
just
such a
incredible.
wonderful community up there. They're so giving, and they're so community oriented in Delray. It's really a special place. So it doesn't
Yeah, I think
surprise me that
that
they, were have done so much for you.
Well, and I think the other thing is people have been really looking for a purpose, right? They've been looking for something that they can do to contribute, whether it's just bagging diapers or coming in and volunteering or giving. The scouts didn't have anybody to donate their food to because a lot of the other food pantries were shut down and couldn't handle the
Right.
volume.
Right.
So we've kind of become a central hub in distribution. We've also received items that our clientele doesn't really use, but I've been able to redistribute to other food pantries, even in downtown DC. So
Fantastic.
it's gotten to be very creative. We've come
Yes.
up with some really great creative solutions. We are open now 2 nights a week, and we have volunteers that man that shift. We have basically 7 volunteer shifts. I have volunteer leaders who run those shifts because early on it was just Judy and myself, and we were like, I got a full-time job. Judy has a
Yeah,
job.
right.
What are we going to
Right.
do?
That's a
Right.
lot.
Right. So
Wow.
it's really,
But
really
the
expanded.
work you do is just great, and I'm so happy to see that you have all these volunteers coming to help. I mean, that's great. And you're right. People want to help, and it's so nice to be able to say, "This is what I need help with," and they all come in
Right.
and help out. How did Spring to Action help you address some of the challenges? I mean, what impact did the donations that you received from them make?
The donation we got was from not from Spring to Action last year, but probably from some of the proceeds from Spring to Action and some of the funding that the city got. So this is going to be our first Spring to Action campaign.
Oh,
We've learned
okay,
a lot
good.
about fundraising in the last year, me especially.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah, you guys are
but
brand new. That's right. Even though the church has been around, you guys are kind of a newer organization.
right, we have been an organization for a long time, but we've really had been privileged to have the funding come from within the church solely, and that was all we needed, right?
I see.
Um, yeah. So what the city of Alexandria did for us is allow us to really get through the end of the year. And then during that time, we also got a grant from Capital Area Food Bank, and who's been a great partner. And since then, we've been able to really socialize the need and have been able to do a lot more fundraising, outside of the church. But I think that, as you know, we're basically our need is about $30,000 a quarter to sustain this, right?
Yeah,
And we're talking an organization that spent maybe, not even 20,000 a year before
right,
that.
right.
So that's really the funding was critical
Yeah,
to be able to
absolutely.
continue the need and the purchasing. Yeah.
What are your goals for 2021 besides being able to
Well,
keep up with the volume that has been established for you?
yeah, obviously we want to maintain the support. We want to continue to build more partnerships and continue to really reach out to the rest of the community to give them opportunities and to build these relationships, not just as a food pantry, but also as our community, as a neighbor, right? And the thing that really has been a wonderful opportunity is all of the connections that we've made and all the wonderful people that now know about us. There's some great stories, and I could probably spend an hour telling you all these great stories from folks who've just shown up and gotten in line and given us checks. Man across the street comes every day, Mike, or every week with a large volume of stuff and comes in and says, "What do you need?" And he goes, gets it. One of our local neighbors recently has started baking bread for us,
Oh,
as a hobby. And, but then we also get donations from Panera and Trader Joe's and some of our early supporters. So I want to be able to continue to build on that because I don't think this is going to go away anytime soon.
no,
And the fact
no.
that we have this crisis ministry now um, allows us to then serve more of the community that may not have been served before, wasn't able to be served because they didn't really know about us.
Right,
Um, and or the regulations tied around getting federal assistance limited who we could serve.
right.
So that's opened up too. Once we had the funding to not have to take on free
That's good.
federal food, we didn't have to do all the paperwork, and we didn't have to make sure everybody was documented,
Right.
and
Well,
all of
and
those good
let
things.
to be a little more nimble and
Yeah.
able to really help the people who really need it. And speaking of help, how can the community, your donors, as well as the community at large, like how can they help you reach your goals? You mentioned the partnerships, so if anybody, they could probably reach out to you, right, to get a partnership or, and any other, I mean, obviously donations, I'm sure, are always needed as well.
Right. But I think, there's time and there's talent and there's treasure is what we
Mm-hmm.
have here. And I think that what we've built here, what we want is we don't want to have any fatigue, right? We want to continue the momentum and we want to continue to promote the program as well as continue to be able to partner and support other programs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And share what we've learned, share what we get, and really become, a more of a, we're never going to be as big as Alive, but,
Right.
continue to expand our crisis ministry. And what we
Mm-hmm.
need, from that is participation and continued energy and love and support.
That's great. How can they get a hold of you, Jennifer? I just realized I didn't
Um,
put your website address up. I can add it and post.
Great. So you can learn all about Grace Church and our programs at gracealex.org.
GraceAlex.org. Terrific. Okay.
Mhm.
Beautiful. And then for our last question to wrap up today, I want you to repeat after me and fill in the blank. And it's I spring to action because.
Well, I spring to action because it is such a wonderful experience, and to give to others and to connect with others during this very difficult time, and to have the opportunity to serve my community and my neighbors in need. That's why I spring to action.
That's great. That's great. That's why, yeah, that's wonderful. Jennifer, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and thank you for telling the story of the wonderful work that you guys are doing. And good luck to you in Spring to Action this year.
Thank you so much, Susan. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Okay, take care.
Bye bye.